Welcome to Syke Studios. We're recording on that side, recording over here, we're good. So this is the part where I do a little bit of background, or like what I call off-camera type shit, right? So number one, I was expecting to just interview Jakeb. Like, I kind of didn't realize it was like a whole band in a sense. So this is a bonus. This is dope. This is really cool. So I get to play off the fact. Cool. But I'm just curious, first of all, like, I don't want to say who started the band, but like who keeps the shit rolling? Who's the one that's like, nah, come on guys, let's keep going?
Probably, yeah.
That's right.
So the breakdown.
Why you put your head down?
Because they cost me a lot of money.
Russ is the leader of what Jakeb does, and then Russ does his own, and they are in a bunch of bands together.
And Russ is the reason that I am able to do anything.
Okay.
This is the person that made everything happen for me.
For 50 cents.
Yeah.
Just about. It's about what Jakeb can afford.
50 cents a day.
10%.
$7.45 is my annual fee.
Annual, it's not bad, bro.
Yeah.
Almost making it to middle class.
I
Okay,
know.
So Trey, what the hell do you do?
Me and Jakeb are cousins.
Oh, so this is
we've
a
been playing
family
together.
affair.
Yes, we've been playing together forever.
He
Holy
plays,
shit.
yeah, guitar.
So whose idea was this? Did he drag you in or you dragged him in?
I probably dragged him in, honestly.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
say.
Dragged me around to
Everywhere.
Like, hey, bro,
15, 14.
Hey,
Playing.
cuz, we're going to go do this. And you're like, all right, well, fuck it, here we are.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Hey, what's up, Guan? Bonjour, famille. Bum Jonas here, and I'm chilling with...
My name is Jakeb Reel.
Trey.
Russ T. Nutz.
There it is. We're here at Syke Studios. About to have a sit-down, y'all. Let's get started. All right, so... Just caught the rusty nuts. You guys are going to be fun. This is going to be fun.
We hope so.
First of all, I love your hair.
I
love your hair.
Because it takes a lot of work to look this bad.
Does Russ help you with it?
No.
Okay.
That's one thing I refuse to pay for.
You won't? You're saving a lot with the beard, though, man. You can afford his hair.
This is a product of sheer laziness, man.
All right, man. So the one question I want to ask right off the bat is, what's for breakfast in a holler?
Maybe eggs, cigarettes, and coffee. I drink yerba mate like all good hillbillies do. No, I would say a lot of eggs and a lot of liver mush where we're at. We live in a town where they make liver mush is
like
it's great.
They have
spackle or...
It's a loaf. It's like a meatloaf. Cold meatloaf.
Like a bologna.
it's like scrapple but harder. And
Cold?
well, you can eat it cold,
yeah.
but we fry it up. And good with like mayonnaise on it, jelly, cheese.
It's great with jelly, grape jelly.
It's like a Vienna sausage in a loaf,
Yeah.
but made out of liver.
Okay, you fucked it up for me there. But we were good till you said Vienna. I
It's
don't
actually
know.
like scrapple if you've had scrapple.
Yeah, I like scrapple.
Did you like
It's a
liver mush?
particular taste. I've had hog's head cheese. I like liverwurst and all that. I like all that stuff.
love it.
You know what I mean?
Love it, yeah.
I can't do liver and onions, but I can do most anything else with a liver. You know. Okay. Ooh. Well, let's put it together here. I was gonna say who is Jakeb Reel, but the real scope of it is who is Jakeb, Trey, and Russ.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Who are y'all? What do you do, and why? That's how I'm gonna ask it.
Well, we just been in music all our lives, you know. When I was little, our family sang in a gospel quartet. We went around different churches, and because our real grandpa, he died when we was about 5, and our grandma married our preacher, and who started a family gospel thing. And
So
so,
like some Righteous Gemstones. Have y'all seen that show?
yeah, it was
I don't mean that to be insulting.
no, it's like a Dollar Tree Righteous. No, we're low budget. You know what I mean?
You are funny. You okay? All right.
Well, and my mom, on that side of the family, there was a lot of gospel influence and religious. You know, we grew up in the church. It's where I sat down behind a drum set for the first time. And on my dad's side was more rock and roll with like AC/DC and Led Zeppelin and Kiss. I'm a huge Kiss fan.
Okay.
And my other grandparents, my dad's mom, she would drag me to all these little BYOB honky tonks.
Okay.
Where these old people, you know, they might bring a bottle of wine or, you know, a couple beers or something. They would be, you know, old timers, we call them, playing music, and they would dance. That was like ritual for them every Friday and Saturday night, you know.
So you kind of you grew up with music.
Yeah, I grew up in it, learning how to dance. A lot of those places are closed now, like the old two-stepping places and stuff. All those people are long gone, but
And nobody's kept it moving. No one's. There's no. Well, that's kind of a tangent, right? But listen. Okay, hold on. No, I'll get there. But I want to. Okay, we got Jakeb, Trey. How do you get into the mix here?
Well, Jacob used to drag me to some of these places, Young's Mountain Music, especially Old Fort Mountain Music, and we'd go up there. I couldn't play worth a shit back then, but he let me get on.
I walked in on some shit here that was worth more than some shit. So
This was 15 years ago,
man.
but yeah, I'd get up there and try my best, and we've been
out ever since.
yeah,
We've been
just like
playing, recording, recorded a bunch of stuff in a barn.
yeah,
At the
yeah,
house.
we were always just making stuff with whatever we had. We grew up very modest means. We didn't have whatever we had was what was handed down to us, and we just made it work with obsolete technology. And then Russ come along, and now we don't have obsolete technology anymore.
Shout out to. Okay, let's get to Russ.
They don't know that.
Let's find out though.
Yeah.
How do
What
you
is
get?
it?
How do you get into the picture, Rusty Nutz?
All right. Well, Jacob showed up at my doorstep in 2021.
That was before then.
Was it?
Yeah, the White Oak splits.
That's right. We met at a barn party where they burnt this big dragon, wooden dragon, a bunch
That's
of hillbilly.
fire.
It was like a hillbilly, like
Yeah.
barn dance.
Okay.
Actually, no. Here we go. So I'm notorious for not having a band and being asked to play shows.
Okay.
But I always play it the last. I'm always book myself as the last act.
Okay.
And then I'd go in and I'd see who was playing before me, and then I'd pick my band out and get them to play
Wow.
with me. Jacob was there that night. Trey was there that night, so I asked Jacob to play drums.
And so that's how.
Well, that's what kicked it all off. That was probably 2016, 20.
That was 20. No, it was 2019.
And y'all been inseparable ever since.
Pretty much, yeah. I started going to Nashville in 2019, and I hadn't seen Russ in probably 2 years. And then I was going out there playing drums for another artist and reconnected with Russ after he moved to Nashville. And then I was, found out right after Russ was like, yeah, I worked for Funkadelic and recorded all sorts of stuff and Big Old Nasty Get Down and, and Town Mountain. And I was like, I didn't know you did any of this. And then I said, will you make me a record? Yeah, I'll make you a record. And then we formed a partnership, and now we have,
This prankster over here.
Country music.
I don't think it was. You worked for.
Well, I did a project called Big Ol' Nasty Get Down. It's a big volume project. So it was like George Clinton. It was one of those things where I was a tracking engineer for the
It don't
project.
matter. You were touching some shit.
And like El DeBarge and George Clinton, Sly Stone, and all the old funk heads. They were just trying to get them on these collabs.
Okay.
So we did a bunch of tracking, like 100 tracks for them.
Wow.
And it's a compilation called Big Ol' Nasty Get Down. It's
Big Old Nasty Get Down.
based out of L.A.
Got my trusty pen. We're gonna write that down. So
Yeah.
okay, we kind of got the we've got the round out of the who, the what, and the why. I want to come back to you now, but you guys are all from North Carolina, right? Yeah. Okay, you end up in Nashville.
I was in Nashville. Yeah.
Okay.
You drove to L.A. when you were 20.
Yeah,
right?
I've been
Okay,
on the road
you've been off the
25
porch
years.
for a long time.
Yeah,
Okay.
about 25
okay.
years.
So, is it Jakeb Reel Music? So you're the lead man, the face, the sound, and this is your support band. Are you in the band, or you the engineer, producer?
No, I'm just production.
Got you. You're
Yeah,
you're everything around to like support,
live
and you're the guitarist
Both of them.
for both of them.
And then he
So
plays,
you have your own band
yeah,
too.
Russ T. Nutz.
Russ T. Nutz is a band in itself.
Yeah, and Jacob's a drummer for that one.
So we were two separate artists on one label, collective thing,
This
whatever
is fire.
it is.
This is fire.
Yeah.
You guys could do some damage contract wise to a label out there. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we put them
in
in
the
poorhouse.
Well, we are the label. That's why we kind of just, it's
Who's the label? What's the name of the label?
well, it's Fox Cove Productions is what we've just started, and we do screen printing and merchandise, and then in the other half of the place we got a studio where we're making stuff happen and
Doing recordings,
making our records
music
and
videos, live studio performance.
This is out of Nashville or
Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay.
North Carolina.
So what? I mean, we're in KC, right? We're
KC's the new Mecca. You see what's going on here. But so what brings y'all here? How'd you get here?
Well, Tiffany got me a show at Knuckleheads, and got us. I landed.
That's an iconic joint. Okay.
Yeah, it was awesome. I landed opening the spot for a feller named Jay Webb, who was nice enough to let us come on there and played to a packed out house, the biggest audience I've ever played to, probably.
Hey, well, congratulations and welcome to KC. Welcome to Kansas City. Shit, all right. So, and this goes for all of y'all. It's probably an easy question for you based on what you said. You literally grew up in music, but how did y'all discover your talents? Like, how did you realize, like, shit, I could play guitar? Or what do you play, Russ?
I play guitar, write music.
Okay, you could
Mostly knobs and faders at this point. But
he plays the knobs well, y'all.
I roll a cable like a motherfucker.
Can we curse here? Yes, we
sorry.
can. Yes, fuck we can.
But
no, like, so how did let's go across the lawn here. But like, how did you discover your talent?
Well, like I said, my grandparents taking me to these places, the little honky tonk dives and stuff, and independent, barn dances and stuff, and I caught all of that as I was growing up at 16, 17, 18 years old, going to these things. The people that were putting them on were 70, 80 years old, and watching a way of life and traditions, mountain music traditions, and just people coming together to do, not sit on their phones and computers and stuff all night long and get out and actually do something, I saw all that. And as it goes on to this more philosophical thing where, like, well, I need to preserve my area's music traditions, and realizing that all the music that everybody wanted to make, like the Rolling Stones was so great, but they were ripping off American music, and I think that rock and roll is like inherently country, and it all comes from this struggle as like the collective South, and like migrating up north to Detroit, and country music ended up being a way to like sell this nostalgia of a bygone past that like was never even a thing. And you know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean? And like, I don't know, making people feel nostalgia and tying, like, pulling at their heartstrings for that to buy a product.
You got some good old country wisdom about you. You're definitely a mountain boy. You know what I mean? Like, there's a commercial country, and then there's like real country.
Yeah, and it's always been like that. There's a cycle of, like, there's always, country music has never been more popular than it is now, especially like radio country, pop country. I'm not saying it's bad, because I like some of it. I listen to what, Big Loud and all those people in Nashville are putting out. That's, on top of the world now. And it's always been this thing where, like, well, that sucks if you like that. Not necessarily, but there's always been a underground country and a pop country. And what's funny though is, like, you go to East Nashville or in Nashville in general, even this like stuff that's supposed to be underground, and in that scene of all these like alternative country labels and whatever, there's still a bunch of trust fund kids. They all got trust funds, and even the most successful ones or whatever, and I think it's more of like genuinely, and like where you come from. There would be somebody that listens to my music that's like, well, that's not country music, but it's more of that, where you're from and your experiences and your dialect and language even, like, whereas like, well, you got that mountain accent. Well, that's just from being around my grandparents, and that I make it a effort to preserve that dialect, where there's people that we grow up with that move out. They're told all their up until adulthood, you need to go to college and move out and get away from here, and then they're like ashamed of that accent or something. Even
I try to downplay it.
Like afraid that you're going to be considered ignorant or something. Where I'm like preserving that because I don't want it. I mean, that's my grandma. That's where I'm from.
Okay. All right, Trey. Let's speak on you though, bro. How did you discover your talents? I mean, aside from getting dragged to shows and were you forced to play guitar? Did you already know that you like?
No, I think it started in church. I started on piano.
Okay.
So watching the old ladies in the piano play, and my parents asked me. They said, we've noticed you've been interested in the piano. You want some lessons? And I said, sure. So I took lessons for maybe a year or two.
Okay.
and then I started picking up my dad's acoustic guitar, and I dropped piano.
Okay.
I totally dropped piano and I went straight for guitar. Played bass for a while. Played bass in a couple bands.
Doesn't that happen a lot? The bass and guitar, they seem to be almost interchangeable, right?
They're similar, yeah. But
you kind of learn one and then get to the other, or vice versa. Maybe.
I couldn't decide which one I wanted to do. I was really interested in playing bass.
Okay.
And then I don't know. I think once I reached a certain level, I just said that, there's more to be heard and done on guitar.
So let's go over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Now we got to get him on the pedal steel.
Practices all the time. This guy's Trey is always.
Yeah, I was kind of obsessive with guitar.
Okay, so that's what I heard when I came in is 15 years of obsessiveness,
Yeah.
because you were going to town too. Yeah. Like I walked in the middle of you guys shooting, and it was just like, holy shit, okay, let me get my professional shit on here. And then Russ started talking. I was like, fuck it, we're good.
It's usually how it happens.
But no, okay, I want to pick on you a little bit, Russ, because you're, without even trying, like right now, you're not even trying, and you're already the jack of all trades. Like you're like sub-recording this whole thing without even, you know what I mean? You kind of become an anchor of things in a way. How does that happen, and how'd you get? First of all, let's get back to the real question. How did you discover your talents? Pick one of them.
I'd hate to say it was church, but it was.
Okay.
just because it was just another church story here, but in all honesty, as far as like I'm not musically inclined.
Okay.
I grew up around music.
But you're in a band.
But I was never taught music, and so I know enough about it that I went to the other side.
Okay.
I went to the production side, and through production, I learned music.
Oh, so you kind of you reverse engineered it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I didn't have a musical gene, but apparently I had a gene for finding people who knew how to play music,
Okay. All right. I
started in high school as we got went to Radio Shack. You remember that place?
Yep. Absolutely.
And our friend's mom bought us one of those suction cup recorders you could put on the telephone.
Yeah.
And we had them rotary phones back then. Go,
Yep.
and we'd put that little recorder on the back of that phone. We'd make prank phone calls.
Oh.
And we'd record them in this little tape deck. And we had a little tape, what do they call it, a little splicer. We'd splice the tape out, and we'd put them together, and then we'd sell them to all our friends. It was kind of like a Jerky Boys type thing. And that's how I got into the recording aspect of was making money so we could buy our parking passes for the high school parking lot.
I love that. You know what? That's a dope ass story. That's a funny ass. I love that, and it makes sense now because I was like, "Who's the prankster of the group?" And it's definitely you. They all said unanimously, and that's part of your origin story.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, I mean, we would make prank phone calls. I mean, we used to call this guy Jackie Chan all the time and tell him the shipment was coming in at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my Lord.
Dude, it was crazy. Yeah.
Okay, so, I don't know how or why I wrote it this way, but I'm just gonna go with it, man. We're just gonna go with it. All right, so y'all are mountain folk, right? Is it safe to say mountain folk?
Yeah, mountain people, yep.
Or how did sports play into, I don't know, daily life, culture, lifestyle?
Sports? People that played sports always made fun of me in school.
Well, really?
Yeah, I just did. I don't know. I played baseball for a little bit.
Okay. So, I mean, like, is sports a big part of the life of the culture there?
It's all about football, really, at school, and it's sports. Arts is, what the hell you want to do that for,
But I'd say the three of us are like the outcasts because I don't think we don't do sports.
Y'all had even now?
I played sports all through school.
Yeah.
Okay. What were you baseball?
Mostly baseball and basketball.
Okay, all right.
That's pretty good. I was tall, in elementary school, and
they just forced it.
Yeah, so I was. They
And,
were like, "You're center."
Yeah.
I love Duke basketball. I get into that. I'm a big Duke fan because my dad's sister had cystic fibrosis.
Oh, damn.
And my grandma was in a really bad abusive relationship back in the day and pretty much on her own with, she had a lot of help for family and stuff, but, they was poor. I mean, bad poor.
Okay.
And to get treatment for the cystic fibrosis, Duke really did a lot for my grandma and my family. Gotcha. And we've always been Duke Blue Devil fans.
So
just
shout out to them.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to stay low, though. Who takes care of you? All right. Ooh. and this may not apply to you so much, right? But he's like, that's okay. I don't need to talk anyway. Russ is a character, man. You're a character. I feel like there is no such thing as a quiet bus ride with Russ.
Oh no! I mean, it's constant entertainment.
Yeah,
I told him I'm just here for the commentary.
I love it. Okay, all right. Bottom of the ninth. No, we're not. We're probably like fourth inning right now. So peanut and hot dog time for you, Russ.
That's all right.
Who were some artists that you emulated, or I use the word copy lightly, right? Respectfully, but I assume as you're coming up, there's some artists that you're gonna look to be like, I want to play like them, right? So let's pick on you and then get to you. So Trey, who were some people that you were like, I wanna, pick sticks like him?
The most important one was probably Jimmy Page growing up from Zeppelin.
Okay.
I love Zeppelin. They've always been my favorite band. But then later on, I got into some jazzier things, Al Di Meola, Jocko stuff,
Jimmy Herron.
some of the jammier stuff. Warren Haynes, he's from Asheville, where we're from, so he was kind of like local hero,
hometown, yeah.
But yeah, man, all the great bluesmen, Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton.
Okay, classic.
Brit blues,
Okay, I like that. Okay. All right, Jakeb Reel.
With me, I was a huge Kiss fan growing up, and I got this when I was 9. I didn't even know how to set a drum set up, and I started watching Kiss live and stuff, and that's how I learned how to set the drum set up. And I watched Eric Singer constantly, and that's how I really got serious at drums. Was I wanted to play drums like Eric Singer, and and then got into Levon Helm at an early age. I was always listening to a lot of different music, and I listen to everything. I love everything. As emulating people, it's always like the philosophy I look at it now is you kind of like open yourself up as a vessel and kind of let things out there come to you and come through you. If I'm singing, it's almost like somebody else is doing it. It's almost like you're calling something up or just kind of letting it come.
You're channeling.
Yeah, in a way. I mean.
So that's something I wanted to ask or clarify, right? You mentioned drums, but my introduction to you would be as a singer, right? And so first of all, how do you make the transition? How did you transition from drums to singing, and what's your preference?
Well, I wanted to learn I wanted to be able to sing while I played drums, so that's how I got into Levon Helm. That's kind of how I learned how to do that, watching him, when I was 13 or 14. And, I also got into country music, in a way, like my dad was really big into rock music and hated country music. My dad hated country music.
Okay.
And I almost think where like kids might have turned to rock or rap or something to like rebel against their parents, I kind of turned to country music to like...
Sound like snub them a little.
Yeah, this is actually good, and this is who we are, and this is, this is like, you know what I mean? Like,
Okay. That's hard.
And so it was really just, I would make my demos, I would play the drums and then play all my stuff over it, and build everything myself, and.
Wow.
And,
so you were already learning some of the tips and techniques that you probably come into play later with Russ.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How good of a student is he? Like, is it easy to teach him some things? Is he easy to work with?
Tell the truth.
No, don't tell the truth. Let me tell a story. He's actually pretty good. There's always stuff with what it is you have people like Jakeb or Trey or whatever, and they focus on the music side of it. They get really good at the music side of it, and all I'm really doing is basic training of there's other sides of the business and different things like that.
Okay.
The raw talent is always there, It's a honing because, the guitar player, if you let a guitar player mix a record, the guitar is going to be hot.
Right. Right.
It's going to be on top.
Yeah.
It's that thing. It's like, it's evening out, and Jakeb was and Trey both. I mean, I've been working with them for 5 years now or whatever,
Oh, wow.
and
Okay.
I mean, it gets better every time. Every time we lay a track, every time we play a show, it's becomes more professional and more honed. And it's and I'm grateful for that. So.
He called you professional, sir. You might want to remember that next time. You know what I'm saying? When he starts talking shit, hey man, you call me professional.
Well, I just think that's the biggest thing is a lot of artists walk in and they got the music down, but they don't have the professionalism, and that goes a long way. You can play the worst set in the world, but if you were professional, you'll get asked back.
There you go.
know, and it's about staying within the bounds of what you're given at the venues and things like that.
And just taking advantage of the opportunity in that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a professional world. Talent comes naturally, but professionalism is what you got to learn through the game.
I see why they keep you around. I mean, besides the good jokes, man, you're funny. I like your energy. You're funny, but he's a smart guy, man.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know?
really, that's the smartest dude I've ever met.
I can see. I feel like he lights up a cigar at the end of the day, like Hannibal from the A-Team. I love it when I'm
I
playing.
can't afford that.
Not yet. Yeah, we got to work on that salary, man. What is $750 a year? What the hell? No,
I'll tell you what, I did this for a long time, making money doing studio records, and nowadays it's kind of like my pet project, man. I don't work with people I don't like no more.
Got you. Okay.
You know, I don't work with people I don't believe in.
Got you. Hey, that's a beautiful thing because that gets rid of all the unnecessary tension that ends up coming up when stuff
Absolutely.
happens. And it's like, how did we get here? Dude, I don't even like you. I'm just trying to get us here. So if you don't like genuinely fuck with them,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's you're just asking for something to go left.
I work with these guys because I love to work with these guys, not because
There
they're
you go.
paying me.
There you
You
go.
know, and there's a lot to be said about that to me.
So I wanna. First of all, y'all know I love segues, but you mentioned something about the professionalism. Like talent is there, the professionalism is learned. Do you feel like, and so you guys definitely fall into the country genre of things, right? I know bluegrass is probably a little bit in your wheelhouse. So for me, right, I fall into sort of the hip, I fall into the hip hop realm of things. But I'm very, very open to all forms of music, especially being from the South. I'm from Texas, so you're gonna get all kinds of music. The country artists. So first of all, is it a thing to be signed or to be independent? Like, how is that looked at? You know what I mean? What's the perspective on that? And then my follow-up question to that, my real question is, do you feel like a country artist has more or less leeway when it comes to your image and your brand? You know what I mean? Can you be who you want to be, or do you have to adhere to some things? And then, what's the preference? What's the angle that everyone wants? Do they want to see you as a signed artist, or do they want to see you as an independent artist?
Well, I would say they don't want to see me as it. I mean, right now I'm at like 200 monthly listeners on Spotify or something like that. But I just do it because it's what God put me in to do, or was, born into it, or I was kind of like forced to do it by whatever, I could have quit a long time ago. All my people my age have had kids and families and stuff. They went and had babies and stuff, and my record was my baby, and that's all, what I'm putting my time and energy toward. I would say that as long as you're able to retain your name and likeness and image, then that image retain your name and likeness, and that image is whatever you want it to be. Or, now if you sign on a dotted line and somebody else takes that name and likeness, then it can be what.
That's a problem, right?
But yeah, they could kill you and make another one with AI, and
They're cloning.
Cloning. What
Thank you.
I honestly think that that's what the AI thing's going to. Is there's going to be like Hollywood is just going to make new actors that aren't even real.
Yeah, I mean,
and they don't have to pay nobody.
Okay, so one, there's Black Mirror episodes out that's already touching on that, the AI thing, right? But what I find interesting in what you're saying, and it may have already been that way, but if I look at the eras as we've grown up, some of the actors and like the marquee faces and sounds and things from, let's say, the 80s, there was someone to replicate that in the 90s or 2000s. And I feel like we're kind of in that second or third wave of like, oh, I've seen that energy before. I like you, Ryan Gosling, but I feel like I've seen you in the '90s movies, or you know what I mean. I feel like we're kind of getting in that repetition of things.
I think that I think that culture and our media is, like you say, it's like maybe the same things popping up, or just remake after remake, or the same stuff. I think it's just become so like corporate, and so like financialized. That. I mean, it's whatever the shareholders of this company is going to make. Warner Brothers used to be the greatest movie company of all time, and now it's like struggling because they're just worried about the bottom line of what the shareholder wants, and like doing the Lion King 4 or another Disney remake is just
live action version.
Yeah, a live action version. You're just they're safe. It's considered a safe move. Right. Where like when we talk about independent country music or alt country music or whatever is, the underground country music.
There's alt country music?
Yeah, well, like the underground country music,
okay.
just,
what the hell is alt?
Yeah, the stuff that's out of the mainstream. I mean, the best stuff is going to be really the rawest and kind of, what is created over here where no one's looking. Yeah, nobody. Yeah,
no one's funneling the big dollars in a sense, in a way. So, kind of a tangent, and I got a couple more questions here, man. I'm really hope you guys doing all right. We're good.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Russ.
We're good.
All right, man. All right, gotta check on Russ here. I like picking on you, man. You're
That's
fun.
All right. I take it.
You can't help it with these guys. I'm just. I feel like Russ has a very special way of fighting back, though. Like he's got little pranks and shit, like crickets under the pillow or some shit like that.
Yeah, new sets of tires.
See. I want to ask. You guys are coming here, and you're essentially on a tour, right? And you probably have had tour life. So this is a good opportunity for me to kind of like, pick into your brains about like what are some tips for being on tour? Like what's it like being on the road for you Trey?
I pack small. I usually just carry one bag, one guitar.
You keep it super light.
Super light, yeah. Like rotate them pants, rotate them shirts.
So you're like what 2-3 days worth of clothing, maybe a week, and then good to go.
Yeah.
Laundromat, stop, get it redone, and hustle.
I'll rewear the clothes. I don't care.
Rock and roll.
Let it air out let it air out a couple of days and put it back on.
And at this point, we're just like dying to go. We're chomping at the bit to go on tour. We kind of just hold up, and we got day jobs. Trey digs ditches and lays sewer pipe and stuff, and I deliver car parts right now. Russ goes on tour. He's a tour production manager for Artemis Pyle, so he's always on tour. He goes on tour every weekend almost.
Yeah, I'm on the road about 100 days a year.
Wow. Okay, so you're living a life of a sort of what they would want. So you can kind of get out there and like, all right, guys, this is what we got to be prepared for and be ready for.
That's exactly.
Absolutely.
It's like, hey, you can always go get some free peanut butter and jelly packets and go to the QT and get a hot dog bun. And
they can't sell the hot dog buns. They can only sell the hot dogs. So the hot dog buns are free, and the jelly's free, and the little thing of peanut butter's free.
Next thing you know,
there's no reason to pay for food. Actually, no, I mean not QT. I didn't do that.
I love you, Russ. You are something else. Worst chore growing up?
Oh man,
working.
Yeah.
Worst chore? I always hated dishes.
Dishes, yeah. I get that.
I hated
doing a lot of people hate dishes.
Yeah, I hated dishes too. I wish I'd have done more chore. I wish I'd have helped my parents more, right?
Yeah.
You was avoiding it?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, yeah, no.
Just too busy playing drums and shit.
And I had the best parents, man. They had that drum set in the back of the house, and my dad would just turn the TV up as loud as it would go and put up with it. I mean, shit. I mean,
so you were out there just wailing out.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my parents being so cool. My grandma.
Yeah.
Dragging me all these places, So.
We'll let you get away from the chore question, and fuck chores for Jakeb Reel.
I hated cleaning that damn hamster cage out. I wish I'd never got a fucking hamster.
There we go.
Don't buy him. Here's words of wisdom. Don't ever buy your kids a hamster. It's the worst thing you could ever eat.
Just go with the snake instead.
No snake. I'm not gonna say I don't trust people with reptiles. Reptiles freak me out.
All right, so next time we'll have no, I'm playing. Keep a little. All right. I don't like that question. Let's go to this one. I like this one. Studio. I call this one studio feng shui. So the way this works, I need to know something that you have to have in the studio in order for it to feel like a good session, and it's something that cannot be in the studio in order for you to feel like it's a good session.
Not be is somebody being like, well, I ain't got time for that, or I got to do something else, or it's
So,
like
hurry things along and
yeah,
shit,
yeah, or like mainly it's like I think what you have to have is patience more than anything, and also a good engineer like Russ.
I said we're all about to look at Russ.
Yeah, we've got two engineers, Russ, and then another buddy of ours named Lauren, and he records a lot of stuff too. And then both of them they're always just really open to let whatever happens. And even if something's not going to sound good, if I'm like, hey, can we put that on there? Can we try that plug-in or whatever? Yeah, we can try it. It's going to sound like shit, but we'll try it. It's always just trying something different and finding
So
out.
you like room to experiment, like room to.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you got to.
Okay.
You got to have that. I mean, and it's like just good players and finding good players and good parts to everything we do. We have to rely on other people and the people that are cool enough to show up. And it's really anything that I've put out has been with the great musicians have just been cool enough to come do it.
So
There was a lot of people I asked that I met out in Nashville that I considered getting close to or my friends or felt friendly with, would you want to be on my record? And they didn't want nothing to do with it, and so. But I had a lot of cool friends out there that did.
That's something I want to mention. So one thing I like to do is I always like to give people their flowers. I like to give people their kudos and accolades. One, while they're here, and two, especially, it feels better to get it before all of the recognition starts to roll in, right? And you guys are definitely on the road to that recognition, right? But what I like for me here at Sprinkle Some Salt, we cater to all genres, but I've yet to have sort of a country artist, right? And so it's eye-opening and it's refreshing, and it's actually like, oh man, this is fucking dope to come across country artists that like you don't fit the mold in a way. I mean, I guess the idea is to always be for the country perspective, it's like you're an everyday person, right? But then there's from what I have seen, there's also this sort of like, I don't know the right word. Like you fit into a mold, a little modeling, a very image tight type of scenario. But you guys aren't like that. Y'all actually have this sort of, I guess, underground. I didn't know there was alt country. So number one, that's dope to even know. But y'all have this like almost rock and roll authenticity about you, like open funness. I want to just make music. I want to have a good time. I want to meet you. So and that's not something that I was expecting from a country artist or group. So thank you.
Just to come in here all stiff with pearl buttons and shit.
Yeah, I did. Grand Ole Opry shit, man. That's what I was. You know what I
record
mean?
label says I can't talk about that.
I was really expecting some shit, man. So
I mean, as far as I look at, the country music fan, it could, like I said, people that played sports might have made fun of me in high school, but also, the redneck dudes and stuff, and it's like you're like an outcast in that, but it's almost like you're making music for people that might actually not like you because of the way you look or what you're about, or some of the weird things that what I mean, like
there's a connection or relation already.
Yeah, and it's almost like it's like, well, why you hate me for? I'm trying to do stuff that you like, or
Like, I'm just trying to entertain you. Are you not entertained, motherfuckers? No, all right, no, I'm kidding. Ooh,
It's true.
Yeah.
this is what I call the chicken or the egg question. So, depending on who's the songwriter here.
We all right.
You all right? Okay. See, my accent almost came out there. So you all right? All right. So usually when I'm talking to like a producer or let's say like a rap artist, singer, it's like what comes first, right? The lyrics or the beat, right? For you guys, it's a little bit different. It's what hits first. Is it the melody? Is it let's say the chord? Is it a lyric? Is it a certain phrase that's stuck in your head? What starts the creative process for you when it comes to writing a song?
For me, it's melody, rhythm, a lot of rhythm. So like if I have a melody,
As a drummer, okay, okay.
And I'm trying to find that rhythm, that perfect rhythm, and then a good chord progression, and then, you know, I've tried to it started out where it would take me years to write a song or a song that was finished or that I felt good enough about, and now I've gotten to a point where I'm kind of churning them out or like more economical with it and planning it out. You know, I have another team back home with some other friends that I write songs with, and me and Trey write songs, and you know, so I'm always open to collaboration. There's other people that you can bounce stuff off of and create with, you know. It's really, and just have some quality control that way too. You know?
So again, going back to my kudos to y'all, what I find refreshing is how you mentioned the team. You guys mentioned community. You guys are a team, right? And yet there's not this gotta be on brand type of energy about y'all, right? And so there's an intentionality, there's a business aspect, thanks to Russ. You guys kind of have the business side of things, but you're still yourself. So I'm really, really shocked.
Yeah, it's like when I went to Nashville and you start learning about like country radio and all these popular songs on country radio now, you look at the credits, there'll be 8-9 writers on it. More there's so many writers on it. And you go to work in Nashville, you go to a writing session from, 9 to 11, eat lunch and come back and do 12 to 2. And there's a guy tracking it and, 8 people around the table coming up with it. And I wanted to be in that part of, I would have loved to be on Music Row or in, if I was good enough to play at the Opry. That's anybody that plays country music, that's your dream, is to play the Grand Ole Opry. But it's like coming to terms with like, well, I ain't going to be able to move to Nashville right now, or I'm not able to do that. And it's almost like, how can I do that at home? So I almost took that philosophy, and I have friends that wanted to be in a band and write songs and stuff, and I was like, well, this is how they do it right here. And then, so now there's 4 or 5 people we have that
part of the whole team in the process. So
it's
you're replicating something that you can't have over there. You're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna build it right here.
It was like my intention to come back home when Russ was coming back to North Carolina from Nashville. It was like, well, my intention is to do Nashville things here at home.
Okay, I fucking that's very rock and roll. That's very rebel. I love that shit. I fuck with that heavy. Hey, all right, guys. This is where we gotta pay a little bit of bills. We gotta take care of our sponsors. Shout out to Thrax Pastries, Bargain Hunters Paradise, and of course Sherry's Executive Lounge. Got a couple sponsor questions here. We're gonna pick on Russ first, sir. This one comes from Thrax Pastry. Long day. Doing live production. You've been dealing with these knuckleheads on a studio session. What's your go-to comfort food? One thing you're gonna eat when you get home that you're like, you know what? I don't give a damn what Trey or Jakeb did. I'm good. And you better not say it, a Quick Trip peanut butter, dog.
I do like a Quick Trip. I lived at a Quick Trip for a while. Pastries, right?
Well, no.
Just question.
This one is just a question. It's sponsored by Thrax Pastry. It doesn't have to be a pastry. It can be anything.
Okay, coffee and cigarettes.
That's your comfort food? That's what makes you feel?
All day long.
All day long.
So you get home from a long day, you're like, I'll just take a coffee and a cigarette.
Well, you want me to be, and then I'll smoke a little weed or something.
Oh, shit.
I'm sorry, I can't say.
No, you can do that. You can do that. We got something for you when we get out of here. No worries.
But no, I don't have a comfort food. I mean, I like standing beside the refrigerator and eating just little. Okay, so here, let me.
Smorgasbord kind of guy.
Story of how I eat.
Okay.
I feel like eating in front of people, that's weakness. So I hide and I eat. We used to stay at a lot of people's houses, right? And they have kids and stuff, and they go to bed and we're rock and rollers, man. You didn't want to like eat their kids' food.
Right.
And then be like, why'd you eat all the hot dogs or whatever? So like, we'd go through and we'd get just a little bit out of this box.
Right.
A little bit out of this box. And so that's the way I eat.
You're a grazer in that sense.
It doesn't matter what it is. I'll just take a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
All right. Okay, you got gratitude. Fuck it. There's food. Let me get a little bit. Okay.
Well, I just don't want them to have nothing.
Yeah. I love that.
I have a philosophy. You should not, nobody should ever know you were there. You're a guest in their house.
Come on now. Come on. I love this. All right, so Trey, your turn. You're up. This one comes from Bargain Hunters Paradise. They have a vendor's market, West Bottoms, every first Friday weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you're a vendor, if you're a patron, you just want to come out and check the scene, maybe find some bargains, you need to go down there. And if you're a smoker like Russ, might be some paraphernalia for you. We'll figure it out if we can say that or not. We'll get to that. But my question for you, and this might be difficult, right? But you grew up in the holler. You moved around as far as touring and doing different things, right? A little bit here and there. My question is, what would be the difference for you between, let's say, the mall experience and a vendor's market, where you have a bunch of like 20 or 30 local vendors doing things versus, say, going to the mall and seeing 20 or 30 shopping outlets doing things? Which one intrigues you more? What keeps you there at either one?
Well, I would say the vendor market would probably be a little more interesting.
Okay, why is that?
Well, mall's super corporate. So it's a little basic.
But you
It's
can
vanilla.
see
It's
people.
vanilla and
Debbie Gibson got discovered in the mall. He's like, I don't give a shit. Okay.
Yeah, but what was she doing in that mall?
I love it. Okay, all right.
but vendors market. I love trade lots and
Flea
flea
markets.
markets,
Yeah.
thrift shopping, bro. Like anything with some vintage clothes or some.
That's
You know.
your thing. Okay.
Yeah, I love like we have a guitar. What do you call this thing? Guitar con
Okay.
in our hometown, so I love going to that.
Checking that out and
yeah,
stuff
dude.
and seeing, okay, that's a
So
that's
the
a
mom and pop
festival.
stuff's usually more interesting.
That's your bag. All right. Well, now it's up to you, Jacob. We're going to round off this sponsored section with you. This one goes out to Sherry's Executive Lounge, a great place for you to dress up and slow down. If you ever incline and you just want to get away from the world, you don't have to bring any food because they don't have any, but they'll let you deliver it. You don't have to bring a bottle because they got some, but more importantly, you do got to bring yourself, and you can't bring a cigar because they got plenty of those for you. But my question for you, especially because you're a mountain guy. I want to say mountain man, but then that's like a whole other thing, right? I don't want to piss anybody off. But how do you cigar? You know what I mean? Do you even smoke cigars?
I've smoked cigarettes like a freight train.
Not a cigarette though, a cigar.
A cigar. I like cigars on a special occasion or on a Friday or Saturday night. I like cigars after I've accomplished a goal.
Okay.
And I like the ones that are usually the darker ones have a better flavor. And I won't buy a cigar. I don't trust a cigar that costs less than $12.99.
So no cigars from Quick Trip.
No quick. And occasionally I will get a hankering for a wood tip black and mild, but that's few and far
That's
between.
mighty
But
country.
yeah.
That's a different kind of South for you, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
What's it black about? Wine flavor?
no, original
shit,
wood
okay.
tip black and mild, man.
OG.
But I like I find that the darker ones taste better. If I like it to have more of a sweeter taste, like chocolate or something, or vanilla or something, tastes like candy or something,
All right.
cake or something, custard,
Now, hey,
pastry.
for y'all, I know you guys mentioned cigarettes, and I know you like coffee and cigarettes. At Sherry's Executive Lounge, they actually have a cigar called the Mauve, which is they consider it the breakfast cigar. So next time you come to KC, if you have the opportunity, I'd check in with them. You might they actually do live music. You never know. Y'all sound, have your people talk to their people, figure something out there. They're an executive lounge, not a cigar lounge. You know what I'm saying? Get it right there, Craig. No, I'm kidding. They would love you guys, though. It's a very, very nice setup. All right, so, man, just a couple more. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Russ, you've been real gracious, man. Thank you for holding that mic, man. He's our third sound guy over here.
Yeah. Used to it.
This one here. How do I put this? Actually, we're just gonna call it what it is. It's called elevator pitch. So you run into somebody that is interested in your music. Maybe they saw you the other night at Knuckleheads, right? You've got 30 seconds to get their attention and to like give them a song or a project that lets them know who you are. What's that song or project that you would recommend?
Oh man, You know, honestly, I got a couple songs that are in the can I ain't put out yet, and it'd probably be one of them.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Come on, man. That was a good one.
It probably is something I ain't put out yet. There's a couple that I've got in the chamber that will be out shortly. That
I feel like Witching Hour is a good one too.
well, I appreciate that. That was 72 tracks after we got done with it. It had 72 tracks on that Pro Tools session.
That's a very, very interesting and representative song. I think it hits home for.
Really?
Well, I like the vibe of it. I like the sound of it. I like what's going on. And I think when I hear some of the other music that you have, and then I get to that one, it's like, oh, okay, no, this guy has a range of shit and is not afraid to tap into those other.
Yeah, I wrote that. There's two inspirations on that song. I wanted to come up. I was trying to play a song that was kind of like Just My Imagination by the Temptations, and also Night Shift by the Commodores. And I was listening to that at the same time. But I wrote Witching Hour during a full moon after a breakup, and I was, it was just me drinking. I was drinking some wine. I'd drink some wine and smoke cigarettes, and moon was full, and I had this line, and I come up with the line. I was like, man, that's good.
Yeah.
And then I go back out and stare at the moon for a minute, and I come, man, that's another good line. That's another one. And I wrote that in the house by myself, old farmhouse.
Well, them farmhouses and barns, man.
Yeah.
God, they're giving y'all some good material. No, you might want to keep one of those on deck all the time. Keep your barn out back or something so you can go write some shit.
It's really when I write songs, I write better late at night when I'm absolutely tired as hell. The more tired I am, I feel like, but I still have to be able to focus, and I have kind of a little bit of ADHD, so it's hard for me to sit down and focus. But when I can get in that zone, and like I said, it's almost like being open and letting something else come through.
Well, y'all have done a hell of a job focusing right here, man. You stayed on point, stayed in line.
That's a good question.
Hey, thank you, man. Thank you. I try to be prepared. All right, so actually, I literally got just two more questions, and one is there's a comment that you made in another interview you did where you said, "Not educated by most folks' standards." And I'm just kind of curious, what does that mean to you? First of all, what does it mean to not be educated by most folks' standards mean to you?
I would say that, like we were talking about earlier, the way people talk, I think that there's still a thing where people hear somebody's accent or something and think, well, that person is an uneducated person. I bet that person can't read, or, thinking that I didn't go to college like most people did. A lot of people, a lot of my friends, they ended up going 4-year schools and stuff, and I went to college for a little bit, but I had to go. We had to go to work.
Right,
We went to work.
Yeah,
it was always, you can play music, but you need to have something. You need to have something else, Right. And I worked for a job that was very interesting for about 5 years, and I would say I was a prison guard for 5 years, and I started going to Nashville about halfway through that tenure, and it was like I could either sit here for another 30 years all night long wondering what if, or I could go try to make something happen for a little bit, and I quit my job and went to Nashville and made a record with Russ, and started driving Uber and working on houses and anything I could do to make money to survive and promote a record.
Keep the dream alive.
Yeah, but I sacrificed having the money. If I'd have had the money that I had then while I was making this record or whatever, I would have been great. But I kind of traded one for the other.
Yeah. Because who's to say that having the money or getting the money would have allowed you to have access or opportunity to do what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just like I'm running out. I felt like I was running out of time. I was going to be 30, and if I didn't get out of it then, another 5 years would have flew by.
Yeah, at that point, it's not too late, but it's kind of like, all right, here we are. What the fuck we gonna do now?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. I was not expecting it to go there, but I like where it went. I like that, man. I keep saying I'm glad that you point out the accent thing, because for me, it's not like, I expected a country band to come in and say a bunch of dumb shit. It's just like, there's there's a very raw vulnerability going on here that I don't necessarily always expect, and sometimes I feel like some country artists have a very formulaic approach to showing themselves, and that's not y'all. There's nothing on brand right now. You guys are just, Russ, Trey, and Jakeb, man. I fucking love it.
Well, I say like you asked what, not educated by most people's standards or whatever. Maybe it come out of like being an Uber driver or something, because I gave a lot of I've picked up a lot of rides and from all people from all over the country and all over the world, and there's people that they look at others like a serf or something, like that they're kind of like above you if you're in this role of like different class system or whatever.
You're driving me around. Forward.
And it was like, well, I'm staying here and I'm doing this and you're a piece of shit. And I'm not saying that like everybody's like that or whatever, but there are people that look down on others and think that and I think that in this new economy we're in, we're closer and closer to being technological serfs in a way, working for DoorDash.
Yeah, wage slaves.
Wage slaves. Exactly. And transgenerational debt slavery.
Oh shit! Who knew that a country band would come in here with some serious shit to say? I love it, man. No. All right, so here's the last question I ask everybody that's ever come through here. And if you guys ever come back, which next time y'all come in, I would love for y'all to come see me again, man. You always got a place here. When it's all said and done, when the show is over, when you the drum session, when the guitar pick is thrown down, what is it you want when the recording session is over? We're gonna pick on Russ, but no, what is it you want the folks to walk away with as far as the experience of your music, of your band, of your sound?
What do you want them to see at the end of the night after they've seen Rusty Nutz in all his glory?
From a production standpoint or from an artist standpoint?
Yes.
From an artist standpoint. Like the question you asked earlier is like, what would you ask about? What kind of music you play or whatever? What would you classify your music? And I go, well, I classify mine as trucking and fucking music. I think that as artists on our level, as independent artists, it's not about the fans as an overall.
Okay.
You're going to win your fans one by one. You get fans one at a time, and for the first 15 years, those fans are now going to be your friends. Like, we're now going to be friends, right? It's not a fan artist thing. I'm not here, so your first couple of years is really just being personable and being giving and being conscious that your fans are there to see you and giving back to them. Because they're going to be the ones that support you and get you to that next step. And if they had fun and if they had a good time, it really don't matter how you feel. It's about them. You like Henry Rollins said, they bought a ticket. You signed a contract with them to give them a good time. And as long as they had a good time, it doesn't matter what you think.
Right. Your feelings are void at that point anyway.
Yeah. As long as you went out there and gave them what they wanted, what you had, and they liked it, man, it don't matter. You pick it up, you do it the next day. You make one wrong lick or something like that, and it's live music. It's gone.
Right.
They were probably talking during it. They didn't even know what happened.
Oh. That's a good, okay.
Don't beat yourself up. That's the main thing is there's another night, another crowd. And, another thing that I tell these guys is like bar staff and bar owner and bar management relations at the beginning stages are your best, that you can get out there as far as your best contacts and the people.
Yep.
I used to tour the band, and the bartender and the bar owners would hire us because they understood that we'd come in there and cause a ruckus. It wasn't about who was going to come to see us. They liked us. So if you have a good rapport, you're professional with the bar staff and the owners,
There you
that
go.
opens a lot more doors than your fans do. So you entertain your fans and you form relationships with your bars and your venues.
Entertain the fans and form relationships with the bar and the venues. I like that. You guys got to keep him around, man.
Yeah.
Keep Russ around. All right, so look, we got to get up out of here. This has been a great, great time. Now's the time, though, before we go. Is there anything you want to let the folks know, anything coming up? This is based in KC, but we're on YouTube, so it's going to be seen everywhere. Let them know what's going on. Where can they check you out? How can they find you?
Yeah, I'm on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, Instagram. That's Jakeb Reel, JakebrEel. I just put out a new song called Carolina Skies yesterday, and that's one of the reasons we came out to KC to have a little single release hullabaloo there. Okay. And we're doing it every day. We got some video projects we've been doing coming out in the next couple of weeks. We're rolling out. We got one with another band we just did that just come out, and Carolina Skies. Check it out.
There it is. All right, y'all. Now, look, I do got to get us up out of here. This has been a hell of a conversation. Bump Jonas here with none other than
Jakeb Reel.
Trey.
Russ T. Nutz.
There we go. And I've enjoyed myself thoroughly here, having a sit down at Syke Studios with these fine, fine gentlemen. And as I always say, love yourself like you try to love the world. Do something to earn your place in the world this week, and just be some dope individuals. Y'all have a good one. Peace.